So it looked like this Indiana Fever situation is a hot mess, man. I'll be one of the first people to tell you. Once I got off live stream last night, I received a treasure trove of DMs of people analyzing and lip reading exactly what Caitlin Clark talked about. Well, if you guys watched the stream last night, we was one of the first people to break that story down and pretty much say, hey, something's off here. Something's look a little wrong. So from what I've heard from several credible people is that the play was supposed to be the same play they ran against Washington when Caitlin Clark won the game and hit the logo 3.
Caitlin Clark's eyes scanned the floor like a predator, seeing the play develop 3 steps ahead, but Kelsey Mitchell was already spiraling toward a disaster that would change everything. The tension on the Indiana Fever bench reached a boiling point when Clark's elite vision didn't just find an open lane, it exposed a massive gap in her teammates' understanding of the game. Mitchell didn't just miss a shot, she lost her composure entirely after a sequence that left the rookie phenom visibly disgusted. The fallout from this moment is currently tearing the locker room apart, as fans demand answers for why the most gifted passer in the world is being handicapped by players who simply cannot see the same game she does.
Was supposed to be the same play they ran against Washington when Caitlin Clark won the game and hit the logo 3. At the final seconds, allegedly, Stephanie White changed the play. And basically, I believe Maisha Hines-Allen decided to pass it to Kelsey Mitchell. Now, at the conclusion of that play, we see Caitlin Clark walk to the bench. Stephanie White said, it's going to be okay. Caitlin Clark said, no, it's not. But something I have given.
It all started with a play that was supposed to be a carbon copy of the logo 3 dagger Clark used to bury Washington just weeks ago. Stephanie White drew up the look, but the execution was a complete disaster from the jump, as the ball ended up in Mitchell's hands instead of the generational talent standing right there. When the play collapsed, the cameras caught a chilling exchange between the coach and her star player that confirmed everyone's worst fears. Stephanie White tried to play peacemaker, telling Clark it was going to be okay, but Caitlin's response was a cold, hard truth that sent shockwaves through the organization. No, it is definitely not okay, and the world saw why.
There's a lot of players that just don't understand the fundamentals of basketball. See, it's one thing to put the ball in a hole and find a way to get to the basket, but it's another way to analyze the game and let your brain be a data center for that game. And there's several players, like I stated, that don't have that data installed in their brains. And I just hate to say this, but I have to be completely honest with you guys. Kelsey Mitchell is that player, one of the players that just do not have the data to process the game in its entirety. Hence possibly why she don't ever pass the ball, because she might not even know herself.
This isn't just about one missed basket or a bad pass. It is about a fundamental divide in basketball intelligence that is becoming impossible for the front office to ignore. We have heard the rumblings before, especially after Sophie Cunningham went on that now famous press conference rant about players needing to get their IQ right. Cunningham didn't name names, but the tape from the last few Fever games tells a story that words don't even need to cover. There is a specific kind of player who can put the ball in the hole, but lacks the mental data center required to process a high-level game in real time. Kelsey Mitchell is increasingly looking like the primary example of that problem.
Clark and Stephanie White thing, it ain't working. No matter how much you guys try to put a Band-Aid on this, no matter how much you guys try to get a first aid kit out and fix it, and you might win a game or two here, the holes and the flaws are still there, and we're damn near going into month 3. Because month 3 of the WNBA season is next month. And we ultimately know what happened last July. On July 13th, that was Caitlin Clark's final basketball game. That is a month from tomorrow. It'll make a year. Caitlin Clark was out that game, and we never seen Caitlin Clark.
Look no further than the late-game collapse against the Chicago Sky, where Mitchell's decision-making reached a level of absurdity that had professional analysts scratching their heads in confusion. With the Fever up by 5 and only a minute left on the clock, any high IQ player knows you hold the rock and bleed the clock to death. Instead, Mitchell decided to go rogue, driving headfirst into a wall of two defenders despite being only 5 feet 8 inches. It wasn't just a bad shot, it was a total abandonment of game logic that handed the momentum right back to the opposition. Caitlin Clark's reaction in the backcourt said everything the frustrated fans were already thinking.
It's Caitlin Clark's final basketball game. That is a month from tomorrow. It'll make a year. Caitlin Clark was out that game, and we never seen Caitlin Clark no more the entire season. So when you talk about how great of a player Caitlin Clark is, all these greatest 10-point games plus, 20-point games plus assists, Caitlin Clark has broken all of these records with only a year and a half worth of basketball. This is startling to know, because had she not got hurt, she would have been still digging.
But the nightmare didn't end there, as the final seconds of that game exposed an even deeper flaw in Mitchell's mental approach to the sport of basketball. Up by 3 with only 7 seconds remaining, all the Fever needed was a clean inbound and a couple of free throws to seal the deal. Mitchell caught the ball, but instead of protecting it, her eyes were already glued to the rim, like she was looking for a personal highlight reel moment. Because she wasn't focused on the situation, she fumbled the ball away in a turnover that was arguably worse than any rookie mistake we have seen this year. It was a staggering display of a player who simply does not understand the moment.
Clark knows Stephanie White's system is ass. Caitlin Clark don't want to play in Stephanie White's system because it's ass. I believe Caitlin Clark had voiced her frustration about Stephanie White's system because it is so much ass. I believe the conflict is coming from Caitlin Clark questioning if Stephanie White's system could be successful, not just for her as a player, her style of play, but can it be successful to win a championship? This is my theory. This is my opinion. And I believe
the most frustrating part for Clark has to be the sheer number of open teammates Mitchell ignores every single night while she dribbles the air out of the ball. On one specific play, Mitchell drove into a double team, completely ignoring Aaliyah Boston and Myisha Hines-Allen, who were both standing wide open with miles of space. If that ball goes to either one of them, it is an easy bucket or an extra pass for a dagger, but Mitchell's tunnel vision acted like a blindfold. It is becoming clear that she might not even know where her teammates are on the floor, which is a death sentence when you are playing alongside a visionary genius like Clark, who expects everyone to be ready.
Really get my point across, because there's so much stuff happening, and to me, it's just not, it's damn near unfixable. You have to get a whole new coach, whole new system. That's why the front office got to be held accountable, because it's fixable. They can try to band-aid it, but it's unfixable. Let's watch.
Kelsey Mitchell is a talented scorer, but she might have the worst basketball IQ of anyone I've ever seen. Look at this play here. She gets the steal, and the Fever are up by 5 with a minute left. So in this situation, all you want to do is hold it and bleed the clock and get a good shot. But no, she drives into the paint over 2 defenders at 5'8", and it's a turnover. This is genuinely
even on the defensive end, the IQ issues are glaring and potentially game-breaking for a team that is already struggling to find its identity in a tough league. With a 7-point lead and the Sky looking for a quick miracle, the only rule is to contest the shot without making physical contact that sends them to the line. Mitchell did the exact opposite, hooking the arm of a shooter and then literally shoving her in the back during a 3-point attempt. It was a 3-shot foul that was completely unnecessary and showcased a total lack of situational awareness. You cannot win championships when your veteran leaders are making mistakes that would get a middle schooler benched.
Situation, all you want to do is hold it and bleed the clock and get a good shot, but no, she drives into the paint over 2 defenders at 5'8", and it's a turnover. This is genuinely worse than the Fox play. They're up by 3 here with 7 seconds left. All they have to do is inbound the ball and hold it, because they're going to get fouled. Look at how she's looking at the rim. She was genuinely going to shoot this ball, and because of that, she doesn't control it, and it's a turnover. I've never seen anyone dribble the air out of the basketball more than Mitchell. Look at how she drives and draws 2, and she's got Aaliyah Boston and Hines-Allen both wide open with tons of space to make the pass, but she just doesn't. Fever up by 7 here with a minute left. You know the Sky are going to try to get something quick. All you got to do is contest without.
Caitlin Clark is a winner who has spent her entire career playing a brand of basketball that relies on movement, spacing, and elite processing speed. To see her trapped in a system where the ball stops moving the second it touches Mitchell's hands is a tragedy for the sport. Clark's outbursts on the sideline aren't just about losing games, they are about the frustration of knowing the right play and watching it get ignored. She knows Stephanie White's system is failing to capitalize on her unique gravity, and she lets it show to make clear she is unhappy with the direction this team is heading. The vision is there, but the execution by her teammates is severely lacking. Fans are turning their anger toward the front office and Stephanie White, wondering how much longer they can try to put a band-aid on a gushing wound. We are heading into month 3 of the season, and the flaws that were visible in week 1 have only become more pronounced and toxic. There is a growing sentiment that this isn't something a simple practice or a team meeting can fix because the issues feel baked into the roster's DNA. When your star player is questioning the very system she is forced to play, it feels like the foundation of the house is rotting from the inside out. The IQ gap is creating a rift that might be too wide for anyone to bridge this season. There's a haunting timeline hovering over this entire situation that many fans might have forgotten as they watch this drama unfold on their screens. July 13th marks exactly 1 year since Caitlin Clark was sidelined, a moment that changed the trajectory of her career and the league's history forever. Despite being out for so long, she has returned to break records and put up numbers that shouldn't be possible for someone with her limited professional experience. It is startling to think about how much deeper her impact would be if she hadn't lost that time, and it makes the current waste of her talent feel even more egregious as she struggles to find common ground with Mitchell. Some fans are diving into darker theories, speculating about internal politics influencing how the ball is distributed. While these theories may seem extreme, the visual evidence on the court makes people question decision-making patterns in high-pressure moments. Why else would a veteran like Mitchell consistently ignore the best playmaker in the world in critical situations? Whether it is a lack of IQ or something else, the result is the same. The Indiana Fever are struggling to maximize their potential. The tension is palpable every time the team huddles during a timeout. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player, she is a system unto herself, and right now that system is clashing with Stephanie White's traditionalist approach. Clark has reportedly voiced her frustration about whether this current style of play can actually win a championship or if it is a recipe for mediocrity. She's analyzing the game like a grandmaster while her teammates are playing checkers, and that disconnect is creating a toxic environment. The outbursts we see on the court are the natural byproduct of a genius being told to ignore her instincts and follow a script she believes is flawed. Mitchell's struggles are just the latest symptom of a much larger issue. There is a sense of finality in the air around the Fever right now, a feeling that this group might be fundamentally unfixable. You can patch holes and win games against weaker teams, but elite squads will always exploit poor decision-making. The front office has to be held accountable for building a roster that does not complement their franchise cornerstone. If you have a Ferrari like Caitlin Clark, you do not put a governor on the engine and ask it to move slowly through traffic. Mitchell's inability to consistently adapt is fueling criticism of the current roster construction. It is important to distinguish between being a great scorer and being a complete basketball player, and that is where the discussion becomes more complicated. Nobody is questioning Mitchell's ability to score or her talent as an athlete, but talent without decision-making can create inconsistency in high-pressure moments. Knowing when to pass, when to slow the game, and how to manage the clock is what separates good players from great ones. Mitchell has struggled in some late-game situations, and fans have noticed repeated patterns. There is frustration online, with fans analyzing every sequence in detail. While body language on the court fuels speculation, interpretations vary and cannot confirm anything definitive. Clark often looks for structure and quick decisions, while Mitchell appears to operate differently under pressure. This reflects a broader clash of playing styles rather than a simple personal issue. Think of the human brain as a data center processing plays in real time. Caitlin Clark's processing speed is elite, while some teammates operate at a different tempo. This isn't an insult, but an observation of how players process information differently under pressure. If a player cannot anticipate rotations and openings early, they will always be a step behind. Social media backlash has been intense, with fans calling for the front office to make changes before the season slips away. People want to see the best version of the roster working together, not repeated mistakes in key moments. The pressure on the organization is increasing as inconsistency continues. Ultimately, the clash between Caitlin Clark's vision and Kelsey Mitchell's decision-making in key moments has become a major talking point of the season. It is a reminder that talent alone is not enough to win consistently at the highest level. Execution and timing matter just as much. As the Fever continue to search for identity, all eyes remain on Indiana, and the outcome of these struggles will shape how this season is remembered.